I think it's important to establish and differentiate immediately what we are talking about. A flag, in some circumstances, is just a piece of cloth, printed or woven. And yet, in some circumstances, it can take on an almost mythical meaning. Regimental colours, Old Glory, the flag that flew at the Alamo, the flag that flew over the General Post Office in Dublin in 1916, and perhaps even the standard, allegedly, of the 14th Battalion of the Royal Irish Rifles, the Young Citizens Volunteers, that fluttered momentarily in the 3rd German line on the 1st of July 1916. But that's not essentially what we're talking about here. It's other flags that are put up and hang, in some circumstances until they decay or rip or tear, that do not look loved, that do not look respected, and that do cause difficulties, which I fully understand, for people who do not subscribe to what those flags represent. However, we are in danger in some ways of viewing the flags themselves as the problem, when the truth may well be that the flags are a symptom of a problem which is much deeper, and the treatment of the symptom will not always cure the underlying difficulty. Indeed, interfering with the symptom, if it's a rash or a lesion, can lead to infection, which can lead to further and greater difficulties. I'm very proud of the district of the city of Belfast that I come from. I always have been. I'm not always proud of everything it does. No one could be. A number of years ago, a group of individuals, for no particular reason other than that they felt in some cases Union flags and the device of the government of Northern Ireland, often misappropriately called the Ulster flag because it's not, were flying year in, year out and deteriorating to the status of rags. And they decided to launch an initiative, which Mr. Little may be aware of, called Dressing the City, where banners were sponsored and were erected on lampposts on Templemore Avenue, a section of the Albert Bridge Road, a section of My Lady's Road, and a section of the Ravenhill Road. They were PVC, they were put up on a specific date and taken down on a specific date, and they were designed in such a way as to commemorate appropriately particular events without actively seeking to give offence to anyone. I will support and listen to any notion that makes East Belfast, in particular, the city of Belfast, or the province in general, a more acceptable place for us all to live. But as has been said by Mr. Maskey and echoed by Mr. Douglas, the truth is that something which is not arrived at with the agreement, acquiescence and understanding of the communities affected will not work. It is simply words aimed at an audience. The same thing applies to walls. I know as well as anybody who stands in this room what those walls are, and I know that the people in many cases who live on either side of those walls suffer in equal measure economic exclusion, educational underachievement and the ravages of recession and depression. In many ways they are identical with each other, and yet for some ancient reason there's an animosity that exists almost as an act of nature. And talk of bringing walls down without seeking the acquiescence of those who live in the shadow of those walls and who look to those walls for their protection doesn't tend to help. Although I do note the remarks earlier on, particularly at Newington and the fence in the park. These issues are terribly, terribly complex. I don't think there's a one solution fits all. I don't think we should blunder. I think we should go quietly and diligently like the communities who live in the vicinity of these flags, and hopefully, by agreement, by the passage of time, by the forgetting of ancient enmities, one section of our community's celebration does not come at the expense of another. Thank you.